All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the CBSI Star Wars Comic Show. We don't have Ben this week. He couldn't make it, but I still have Mike with me, and we still got 3 good books for you guys to invest in from the current Marvel run. And make sure you go over to comicbookinvest.com to check out that bonus book, because that will be only over on the site. We won't be talking about that tonight, so you have to check that out on Sunday when the article goes up on comicbookinvest.com. So, I don't know, Mike, I guess we'll just get to the books in a minute.
Dive right in. Absolutely. We got some good ones tonight.
All right, so our first book here is a book that I think still has a lot of room to grow. It's pricey. Everybody already knows this one already, but how could we not go with Dr. Aphra? So Darth Vader 3, I think the ceiling is still up there a little bit. There's still room for it because this has to be the most popular new character that has come out of the current Marvel run of all these Star Wars books.
By far.
By far. She's just immensely popular. It's got a just great story. She's an interesting character. The whole Indiana Jones thing is definitely something that I could see translated to whether it be a show, movie, whatever they want to do with her. Now, she's not going to be in the Obi-Wan series as much as people want her to be, but hey, who knows? She could sneak her way onto Andor or something like that because the time frame works a little bit better for that. And that being said, so this number 3 is, again, it's a pricey book, but I still think there's a little bit of room there.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Don't forget, all those other variants, the second print, third print, fourth print, these are tough. Some of them are tougher than others.
Yeah, that purple fourth print it's purple the fourth print, right? Yeah, that's the tough. I mean, that's the tough one. I mean, honestly, the green one, I never see the green one either. The red one I do see. It's like $100 book, and the raws on the other one are still hovering around 150-ish. I think 9/8 are around 500 or something for the regular A first print. But man, that seems really soft comparative to what other popular Star Wars characters are doing at the moment. When we finally get casting and we see an image of this character in a trailer or in something, every single one of these books is going to go absolutely bonkers. Because she's on the cover of it too, which helps. Which I think actually hurts this book.
Yeah.
It's the 1 in 25. Yeah, it's already like $1,000, like 800 to $1,000 in a raw. I don't even know what 9/8 are going for right now. I assume it's multiple thousands, probably 2-ish, 2.5-ish.
It's a little over 2, like 2 to 2.5.
Yeah. And I get it. I do, but I think her not being sort of featured on the cover hurts it, like the other one.
The other one, it's more of an iconic. It's a classic image, a good good strong pose.
Yep.
Definitely striking image. But this one, it's tough as it may be. I agree with you. I think those other prints might be a play. Might be a play going forward.
It's just a better cover overall, and I think we've already seen kind of a ceiling on this book. I mean, I just don't see people wanting this for more than $2,500. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm bonkers. I don't know what the hell the market's doing right now. It doesn't make any damn sense when a 9/8 ASM 300 non-newsstand sells for $7.5 grand. So I could be totally wrong on this. This might turn itself into a $5,000 book, but I think you're right. I think the real meat on the bone is in the regular cover.
I think there's a ton. I agree with you.
I think there's a ton left on the bone there on all prints, all 4 prints.
Because this 125. I agree. There's a ceiling. I think 3 is about as much. I'm looking at this close to like the Land, Spider-Gwen variant at best. Like I just don't see this being a 5K like Ahsoka's Dark Horse. No. I don't think it's the same. It's not the same. Same flavor as that. So
no, that thing's got everything going for it too, right? Super rare. It's got Ahsoka on the cover nicely. It's a Filoni cover, which helps, I think, and it's sort of become this iconic part of that whole Ahsoka lore. So whereas this book just doesn't do it for me. I don't know. A lot like that Land cover never did it for me for the Spider-Gwen one. But I think while this is a book I think everyone wants, and don't get me wrong, I want this book too, and I don't own one, But like you said, I think the real room, since that's what we're really talking about on this show, the real room for growth is in that regular cover, no doubt.
Yeah. As is with yours, your pick here, which is the second print.
So the second print of Kanan #1, similar to Aphra, I think there's a lot of buzz around the Sabine character, and I know that there's some There's some controversy over which book. Some sites want to tell you it's number 6. Some sites want to tell you it's number 1. Some sites want to tell you it's like number 5 or number 2 or whatever, wherever that other cameo is. But let's face it, none of those books are actually her first appearance anyway. So it doesn't really make any difference. She's in the Lego Star Wars comic. She's in the Rebels magazine. She's in many other things. She's in those German webcomic adaptations long before any of this stuff. So, I mean, if we're going to really quibble, it's none of these books. But in my opinion, it's this number 1. She's right there on the first panel. No, she's not on the cover. And there she is. There's the team right there. Pretty obvious that's her right front and center. She's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's her.
It's her. And I think that this second print is one that people just don't realize quite how rare this thing is. You have 108,000 print run on the first print, which of course has its other variants. It's got its Scotty Young, which was just a regular B cover. It's got its 1 in 10 animation variant, I think is what they called that one. Then it's got the 1 in 25, and it's got the BAM, which is that Vader one on the left there. That 1 in 25, that black cover on the far right there, is the one everyone seems to be hunting. But let's do the math here. If we've got 108,000 plus print run and everybody ordered 25 copies, we're at over 4,000 copies of that 1 in 25. Actually, the number would be 4,320 some odd copies if everybody ordered 25 copies of it. So you assume they probably printed 4,000 or 5,000 copies of this book, right? So the second print, though, came out a month later, so we can track those numbers. And so the even though the indicia says June for the first print, it's really April. I think we all know how this works.
Yeah.
And for the second print, even though it says July, it's really May. And the second print was 4,991 copies, virtually the exact same rarity as the 1 in 25. So while everyone's going bonkers over the 1 in 25, people are forgetting about the second print, which is virtually the same rarity. And I mean, and it's right now, again, $150 book, a lot like the Aphra. So I think there's a ton of room. Again, if we see good casting, if we see this character pop up, she's super fun. She's witty and kind of snarky. And she was definitely like the character people latched onto in Rebels. She's a lot like Ahsoka. I can see her popularity being nearly as much as Ahsoka's if they do her right on screen, wherever she finally pops up. I don't know that she's got a $5,000 variant in her, but she definitely has a hell of a lot more than a $150 variant in her. So I think that there's a ton of room in this book, and I think it's really under people's radar. They all want that 1 in 25, and they're forgetting about the second print.
Yeah, totally with you. And I'm glad I've got my second print right here.
Yeah.
And glad I found that when I did, because, yeah, it might be a little pricey now, but like you said, I still think there's meat on the bone for that one, too, because it's just as hard as that 1 in 25, if not harder. Because I tell you, if you do a search, you go ahead and you hit eBay right now, look at how many 1 in 25s you see, and then look at how many of the second prints you see, and you tell me which one's harder to find.
Yep, agree. Absolutely
agree. How can you find it?
And again, we're some of these numbers are guesses. We'll fully admit that, but they're close. Yeah, I mean, they're close enough where the numbers kind of don't matter now. They should be roughly the same rarity, but like you say, you do an actual real life search for it, and that second print is just not popping up. And again, a very dark cover, going to be hard to get in good shape. Not quite as hard as the 1 in 25 probably, but pretty darn close. And I don't know. Not that you shouldn't be searching for every single one of these covers. I mean, hell, even the blank may be where the real play is. I mean, that book has stayed between $20 and $50 for some unbeknownst reason. And the thing is, while you might not want to spend $50 on a blank, which by the way does have the A cover underneath it, when you run into one of those in a bin someplace, you might run into a whole stack of those blanks. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to leave them there for $5 a pop. So I'll grab the whole damn stack. So that actually may be the real play is the blank. But for my money right now, it's that second print.
Second print. I'm with you. I like it. I definitely like it. And our last one we have here, this is a little bit more of a, I don't want to say under the radar. It's been talked about before, but it's definitely has plenty of room if it were to have anything were to happen here. And this is Thrawn 6, and this is I'm going to butcher her name. This is what
I don't know
Or
how to say it.
Alani Chiss. I don't know if I'm saying
That's
it
as
right,
close as I'm going to get. So good job.
I've been practicing all day with that one, but she is like, if we're getting Thrawn and they're going to give us any sort of backstory on Thrawn, we're going to have to see her. She is another, great character, and for her to show up here in a comic, I think this is an interesting book. It's still only around like $20 right now for that cover A, and for that, I think there's still plenty of room. If something were to happen, not to say anything definitely will, but if something happens, I think there's plenty of room on that one to go, because the 1 in 25 on this book is already getting way up there. That's like 250, I think, raw right now for this one, which is a tough book to find.
It is.
And if you could find this, scoop that up if you can at a decent price, because some of these variants for books like this, there really aren't that many. Numbers aside, it's, again, in practical terms, do you see this when you go out? Can you find this if you search online? So where are you going to get it?
I haven't seen it since the release, and I, of course, skipped it because I thought, oh, it's Thrawn number 6. Who cares? Yeah. And of course, there it is. And I agree with you as well on seeing her or seeing something from this series. And I think this is as good a guess as any of them. It depends on how they handle him in the Ahsoka show. If Thrawn is really just a vehicle to get us to Ezra, then it might not matter what his backstory is. They might not care to explore it. But if they really explore the character, I find it hard to believe they're not going to mine some stuff from this series.
This series ties into like the novels. I mean, he has multiple trilogies of novels now. So he's a character that they have plenty of material behind. I can see them doing something on him if the character, hits, and the actor that they choose and everything. If it all comes together, it's something they could definitely move on and do.
He's in like 9 novels. 3 of them are his novels. So I mean, and arguably so are the first 3. So I mean, there is no, and we've talked about those numbers before. Some ungodly number of copies of the Heir to the Empire novel sold, some multiple, I forget how many millions of copies. It's incredible. So if there's that kind of love for the story and the character in the novel reading world, then there's that same want in the comic world, but there's not nearly as many copies. So of all of it, whether we're talking Heir to the Empire, 1, newsstand, not newsstand, that Dark Horse Presents thing, number 1s, the Matina variant, you name it. I mean, this character is definitely, regular Thrawn, not girl Thrawn. But still,
they'd have to work in. They would have to as part of his story.
Yep, if they do his backstory, they're going to have to use her and others probably from this arc. And I see that could be one super under the radar one that could pop huge. And buy it now for $20, and then you're looking at a $200 book in a year. That's a pretty nice return, especially if you buy yourself a little stack of them.
Yeah, so you might even still sneak that one out of dollar bins, because while the number 1s have kind of got scooped up, some of the other issues you can still find just kind of hanging and lingering around amongst all the Poe Damerons and the TIE Fighters and the series that people don't like to grab, all that overstock stuff. You might be able to sneak a 6, a 5 or a 6 really out of this series.
Look at that Obi-Wan and Anakin book that everybody ignored until they announced the Kenobi show for real, and then all of a sudden people want that book. That thing was cannon fodder. Nobody wanted that damn thing. Now they're $20 book for what was a dollar bin book. So
you never know. You
don't ever know, especially with Star Wars, especially with comics these days. Who the hell knows what's going on? It's people have lost their minds, including me. I mean, I'm one of them, so I am not throwing anybody else under the bus but myself. Yeah.
But those are the 3 books that we definitely have. And make sure you go again over to comicbookinvest.com to get that bonus book, because there's one more that you should be keeping an eye out there. From that Marvel, the current Marvel series, current Marvel canon, I guess. And hopefully we get Ben back next week, and we'll have 3 more books for you. And I guess for Mike, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks a lot, everybody.